So, dear students, in today's lecture, we are going to deal with the history of Indus Valley Civilization. So, Indus Valley Civilization is considered to be a turning point in India's history. Why it is considered to be a turning point? Because from this point onward, historians and archaeologists have concrete and ample evidence to prove human settlements with a precise date. That means we can put dates to events, because prior to that we have only vague idea of when things occurred and where things occurred. We just have a vague idea, but nothing concretely could have been said. But from this time period onward, historians can sketch the history of India with almost 100% accuracy, because we have got ample amount of evidence, from these time period. So that's why it's considered to be a turning point. So now let us see what was this Indus Valley civilization after all. So before we proceed any further, let me tell you something. So when it comes to ancient Indian history, so this is the topic from where you can expect the most number of questions. That means if 100 questions will be framed from ancient Indian history, you can be sure that almost 25 to 30. That means whenever questions are asked from ancient Indian history, chances are that majority of the questions will be asked from this topic. So please be very careful, please be very mindful. So once you are done with this video, you will never ever be required to refer to any other study material. I can bet on that, because we have developed this video with great detail. We have went into the past year's question paper, and we have included each and everything that a student must know in order to answer those questions. So let us see what was this ancient Indus Valley civilization after all. So what was Indus Valley civilization? The crucial question. So Indus Valley civilization was one of the earliest known large scale human settlement. So why it is known as Indus Valley civilization? So because you see, to survive, humans need certain basic needs. Humans have certain basic needs like food, water, clothing. So out of these needs, two of the most basic needs, food. So it depended on agriculture, and to sustain agriculture you need water, and you also need water to carry out your day-to-day activity. You need water to drink. You actually, water is the you can say cornerstone of survival, and hence water became the cornerstone of civilization as well. So humans had a tendency to settle in and around sources of water, and that's why you will see that throughout the world, throughout the globe, the settlements or the earliest human civilizations, they have actually cropped up in the vicinity of some rivers, some or the other rivers. As you will see, in India, you can see the case of Indus Valley. When it comes to China, the earliest known human civilization developed along the river Huanghu. So civilizations basically came around sources of water. So same was the case with our ancestors who used to live in that region. So they also chose to settle around Indus Valley, and hence the civilization that cropped around it was called Indus Valley civilization. So Indus Valley civilization was one of the earliest known large scale human settlements. So as I already explained, Indus Valley civilization flourished in and around the basins and valleys created by Indus River. So it's very evident, it's evident from the name itself, it's Indus Valley. So Indus Valley means settlement occurred around Indus River. So it's not that only Indus River, but majority of the settlement that have been found, they tend to follow a rule that they actually are situated on either left or right bank of Indus River. So that's why the general term Indus Valley civilization. So now what you must know about Indus River, that Indus River originates in Himalayas, and if you look at the current geography, so Indus Valley flows through parts of Jammu Kashmir, and it then enters Pakistan. So it then enters Pakistan and it flows up till Makran coast, and then it drains into Arabian Sea. So if you will notice, this Indus River actually covers the entire length of Pakistan. So you can say, what is river Ganga for us? So Indus plays the same role in the geography of Pakistan, the current Pakistan, because in those days Pakistan, Afghanistan, they were also part of India only. So we are talking in terms of today's geography. Now, Indus Valley was one of the three most prominent civilizations. So it was not that the time period we are talking about, that only Indus civilization existed. No, there were two other known civilizations as well. That means historians are aware of the fact that side by side two other civilizations also existed in the same time period. So those two were Egyptian civilization, which obviously occurred in Egypt, and Mesopotamian civilization. So what is this Mesopotamian civilization? So Mesopotamia of those days is what makes today's Iraq, Syria and Kuwait. So today's Syria, Iraq and Kuwait, in those days, it was the seat of a civilization known as Mesopotamian civilization. So these three civilizations occurred more or less in the same time period. So they were in contact with each other. So people who used to live in these civilizations, they were in contact with each other. They were contemporary of each other. So let's look at the map. So these are the four ancient civilizations. So out of the four, these three, that means Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, as you can see, all these civilizations, they occurred in or around rivers. So Egyptian civilization, the backbone of Egyptian civilization was Nile River. Similarly, the backbone of Mesopotamian civilization was two rivers, two twin rivers. They are known as twin rivers, Tigris and Euphrates. So in those valleys created by these rivers were chosen by people of those times to settle. And as you are already aware, Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization, people settled themselves around Indus River. So out of these four old world civilization, these three were contemporary. That means these three existed at the same time, whereas the fourth one, this Chinese civilization, which occurred around the valleys of Wang Ho, it came late in human history. That means this came late. So these three are contemporary. So this question has been asked many a times. So they give options and then they ask that which of the following civilization is contemporary or not contemporary to Harappan civilization. So contemporary, so Egypt and Mesopotamia were contemporary. That means they existed at the same time, whereas this Chinese civilization, it did not exist in that time, but it came into existence much later. Okay, so this is the Indus Valley civilization, the basic introduction of Indus Valley civilization that you must be knowing. Now Harappa, you must know something, that Harappa was the first site to be discovered. Harappa was the first site to be discovered, because of which people came to know that okay, a great civilization existed in this region. So it was known as Harappan civilization. So it was called Harappan civilization because Harappa was the first site to be excavated. So excavation, or let's say scientific excavation, began in 1921, and Harappa was the first site to be excavated. That's why historians chose to name it Harappan civilization. But later on, when the excavations extended to large area, they started finding more and more settlements. So as they founded more and more settlement, they realized that these settlements are basically built around the Indus River. So hence they also started calling this civilization Indus Valley civilization. So two names are famous for this civilization. It is either called Harappan civilization because Harappa was the first site to be excavated and excavation began in 1921, and Harappa is located in Punjab province of Pakistan. So Punjab. So don't think that only India has Punjab. Even Pakistan has a Punjab. And let me tell you that Punjab of Pakistan is much larger in area as compared to Punjab of India. So this civilization is referred to by two names, either Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization, and you know the reasons why. So now let's see, how was this civilization discovered? Now let me tell you something. So when Britishers were ruling India, so that time, ancient history of India was not completely known to the world, not even to the Indians. Indians, though, had a sense that their civilization is a very ancient one, but they had no proof to offer to the world that, okay, we are the ancient most civilization, or we are the descendants of the ancient civilization. So there was no concrete proof. So Indians and the entire world thought that Indian history begins with, or recorded Indian history begins with, Vedic period. Vedic period. So this was the general belief of that time, British era. But discovery of this civilization shattered that notion. It shifted the timeline of Indian history a bit backwards, almost by 1000 years backward. Because up till then, Britishers and Indians had no idea where actually or how old Indian history was. They thought that their recorded history began from Vedic era, which was not true. So let us understand how this civilization was discovered. So this civilization was actually discovered in 1826 itself. So it was discovered accidentally by a person known as Charles Mason. Please remember this name very carefully. This has been asked almost 2 or 3 times. So Charles Mason was a British soldier. He was a retired soldier, British soldier. So one day he was passing through the Punjab province of present day Pakistan. So he was crossing via the village of Harappa. So he noticed in that village, that people were using bricks and toys. So just by looking at bricks, he understood that these are ancient bricks. So he understood that these bricks are at least 2,000 to 3,000 years old. So that was the first time that somebody came to know that here can be an ancient civilization. This site can lead us or to the discovery of an ancient civilization. So Charles Mason was the first person to realize this. But he did nothing. He just wrote this article in papers. He just wrote a few letters to British historians and archaeologists that please come and visit this village of Harappa. Even Charles Mason had no idea that how big this civilization could be. So nobody took that seriously. They thought that, okay, let this be. So this was just a gone thing. So nobody at that time took him seriously. But in the late 1920s, the large scale excavations of this region were carried out. Why? Because basically railway was being built. So Britishers were building railways in that zone. So that's why they were carrying out large scale excavations. And it was during these excavations that this civilization was discovered in its full glory. It was the first time that the world came to know that okay, Indians have had a very glorious past. So their ancestors were part of a very glorious civilization. So the technical or modern discovery of civilization began only in 1920s. As I already told you, Harappa was the first site to be excavated, and you must also remember who was the excavator or who was the archaeologist, because these questions have been asked. So I will highlight which facts you necessarily must put in some corner of your memory so that you can recall it later. So these are the questions that have already been asked. So there is no point in arguing that why should I remember this, because these questions have been asked. So as a teacher, my job is to let you know that these facts are important and you are supposed to remember it. So Harappa was the first site to be discovered, and it was not, I shouldn't say discovered, I should use the word excavated, because as I already told you, it has been discovered already. It was discovered but was not excavated. So it was excavated by this gentleman known as Dayaram Sahani. So he was a high ranking officer in Archaeological Survey of India. So that time Archaeological Survey of India was obviously under British control. So another prominent archaeologist, R.K. Banerjee. So all these were employees of Archaeological Survey of India. So what was the job of Archaeological Survey of India? So they were excavating different parts of India to discover its past. So R.K. Banerjee dug out the remains of Mohenjo-daro. So these two are the most prominent cities of the civilization. First one is Harappa and the Mohenjo-daro. So these two are the most important sites. So you must remember who discovered which site. So Dayaram Sahani was the first person, Dayaram. So Harappa was the first one to be discovered, and Dayaram Sahani is credited with the excavation. The next year, that means in 1922, you must remember the year as well, at least for Harappa, that it was excavated for the first time in 1921. And next year, that means in 1922, remains of Mohenjo-daro was excavated. Now, as I already told you that these gentlemen who were set out on the task of excavations, they were actually employees of Archaeological Survey of India. So after having made these discoveries, John Marshall, who was the director of Archaeological Survey of India. So John Marshall, this name also you must remember, because he was the first person who used the term Indus Valley Civilization. So at least twice this question has been asked, that who gave the term Indus Valley Civilization. So it was this gentleman, Mr. John Marshall. And who was John Marshall? So he was the Director General of Archaeological Survey of India. So John Marshall then announced to the entire world the discovery of this civilization, Indus Valley Civilization. Now what was the time period of this civilization? As I already told you, that before the discovery of this civilization, Indian history was supposed to begin with Vedic era. That means 1500 BC. Before that, there was not much proof to validate. So Indians were ignorant of their own past. They thought that their history began somewhere around 1500 BC, which was shattered. There was a pleasant surprise. This discovery of this civilization came as a pleasant surprise. So it filled the Indians with pride. So now coming to the question that when did this civilization occur? So I agree this is ancient, but there has to be a time period attached to it. So let's understand. So traces of earliest civilization in Indian subcontinent have been found in Mehergarh, Pakistan. So it's not that Indus Valley civilization was the first civilization to have occurred on Indian subcontinent. Civilizations occurred even before that, even 1000, 2000, 4000 years before Indus Valley civilization, even 4000 years before Indus Valley civilizations, there existed a civilization in Mehergarh. This again is a common question, that which is the earliest known civilization on Indian subcontinent. It is not Indus Valley, it is Mehergarh. Now, excavations at Mehergarh have revealed the earliest practices of agriculture and animal rearing. So it is the first evidence of humans practicing agriculture or domesticating animals on Indian subcontinent, on the soil of Indian subcontinent. So agriculture and animal rearing was not done for the first time by Indus Valley people. So these things were actually done thousands of years before Indus Valley civilization, and they were also our ancestors, only ancestor of us Indians. So that civilization was Mehergarh civilization, but unfortunately much detail is not available. That's why we don't talk much about this, but it is well established that this is the first civilization. Now people from this civilization or this region migrated to Indus Valley region and established what is known as Indus Valley civilization. So people who founded this Mehergarh civilization, they gradually shifted. This Mehergarh is located on the boundary of Pakistan and Afghanistan. So people from this region started to shift towards Indus River, because they were always looking for better sources of water and food. So Indus River was a huge river. So that's why people from Mehergarh migrated to Indus Valley and established another civilization which came to be known as Indus Valley civilization. So Indus Valley civilization was established around 1300 BC and had come to an end by 1500 BC. So after that began Vedic era, Vedic age. So you can see it existed for almost 2000 years. This civilization, this Indus Valley civilization had existed in continuity for almost 2000 years, but this entire time period of to be precise 1800 years, if you want to be mathematically precise, then we can say that this existed for almost 1800 years, and this entire 1800 years time period have been divided into three phases, because civilization do not become big in a single day, they develop gradually. So they develop from small things to complicated things. That means earlier people, so this entire 1800 years of existence of this civilization has been divided into three phases: early phase, then mature phase, and then declining phase. So early phase, that means when people started from Mehergarh and started settling near Indus River. So early phase existed from 3300 BC to 2500 BC, and then they transitioned into mature phase. So mature phase lasted between 2500 BC and 1700 BC. So it is basically this 800 years of existence which is known as mature phase. And during this time period, the people of Indus Valley created glorious artifacts, glorious things, many things which even today can be found. So the entire understanding of the civilization that we have today is based upon the objects found from this region. So most of the objects that we have found out made by people of Indus Valley civilization, they belong to mature phase. Okay, because you can understand that if the phase is mature, if the civilization is mature, then they are at their peak. Then at that time they produce objects which can last for longer time, which can last for 3000 to 4000 years, and so that later on we can go there, excavate, dig out those things. So whatever we see today or we get to know about the people of Indus Valley civilization, most of it will relate to the mature phase. So you must remember at least this time period, that mature phase lasted for almost 800 years, and the time period assigned to mature phase is 2500 BC to 1700 BC. So now let's move forward. And after attaining mature phase, obviously nothing stays forever. So after attaining mature phase, for some reasons the civilization started to decline. So it started to decline around 1700 BC, and by 1300 BC it was completely gone. So there is not a consensus on when did this civilization actually end. So nobody is going to ask you these kind of questions, that when did civilization end, because some historians believe it is 1500 BC, others believe it is 1300 BC. So there is no consensus, but generally speaking, somewhere around 1500 BC, the civilization came to an abrupt end. After that, we do not find any objects made after that. Now, what was the location and extent of the civilization? So, over 1400 Indus Valley civilizations have been found so far. So, you need not remember all this stuff, but just to give you a perspective that how big this was, over 1400 Indus Valley civilization sites have been discovered. So, of which 925 sites are in India and 475 are in Pakistan, while some sites are in Afghanistan as well. So if you talk in today's term, this civilization covered parts of 3 countries: India, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Please remember, it did not cover parts of Iran or Nepal or Bangladesh, because these questions have been asked in past, that apart from India and Pakistan, traces of the civilization has been found in which other country? The answer is Afghanistan. So now see, the civilization covered an area close to 1.2 million square kilometers. See how big it was, 1.2 million square kilometers. So what is as of today, what is the area of India? Roughly speaking, 3.2 million square kilometer. So the Indus Valley civilization was, you can say, roughly almost of today's India. It was like 30 to 40% in size. So this is how big it was. Almost covered area equal to 1.2 million square kilometer, which was 20 times the Mesopotamian civilization. So as I already told you, 3 civilizations existed side by side: Egyptian, Mesopotamian and Indus. So out of these 3, Indus Valley was way too larger, not comparable. So not comparable to the other 2. So Indus Valley civilization covered an area which was almost 20 times the size of Mesopotamian civilization. Now the 4 corners. So if you talk about that, okay, if you say that this was the region of Indus Valley civilization, then scientists have pinpointed the boundaries of the location, the 4 boundaries. For example, if somebody asks you what are the boundaries of India, then you say that, okay, Kashmir in the north, Kanyakumari in the south. You say or not? So similarly, what were the 4 corners of the Indus Valley civilization? So the 4 corners of the Indus Valley civilization, you must remember this: Manda in Jammu and Kashmir. So in north region, it was Manda. Okay, in east, it was Alamgirpur near Hindon. Hindon means very close to, you can say, Delhi. not very far away from Delhi. Sutka Gendor in west. So these are the four boundaries. If you talk in today's terms, boundaries of India will be Kashmir, Kanyakumari, then north, east, and if you come this side, maybe Rajasthan, maybe Gujarat. So similarly, boundaries. So in north, the northmost site found was Manda, east Alamgirpur, south Dayamabad. So Dayamabad is in Maharashtra. So just give it a thought that how extensive it was from Kashmir to Maharashtra and from UP, that means from almost from Delhi to the borders of Afghanistan. So how big this was, you can just imagine how big a civilization our ancestors have managed to establish. So doesn't that make you proud? So if this makes you proud, then there is another reason that you can be proud of yourself by cracking the exam of your dreams. So please be very attentive, please be very careful, and please be assertive, and please be attentive as to what is to be remembered and what is to be avoided. As I already told you that you need not remember all these facts. I just gave it to give you a perspective. So whatever is to be remembered, I will highlight then and there itself. So now let's move. So as I already told you that almost 1400 sites have been discovered, but out of those 1400 sites, these are the prominent ones. So in Manda in Jammu and Kashmir, Ropar in Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra. So you need not remember this list, because gradually this list you will by default you can by heart. So now look at this map. So this is the map of the Indus Valley civilization. You can see almost touches the boundary of Afghanistan, because some parts of Afghanistan were also included. So this covered a total area of 1.2 million square kilometers. So you can see Gujarat was covered. Here Gujarat was covered, Rajasthan was covered, then here Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh. You can see very close to Delhi. Delhi is almost here. So it almost touched Delhi. Yeah, but there have been questions when questions have been asked, let's say Desalpur is in which state? Then of course if you can spend a couple of minutes on this, it is well and good. Otherwise, as the chapter proceeds, you will have a better understanding that which site was located where or in which state, because we are going to deal with some of these sites in detail, the important ones in details. So as I already told you, apart from India, sites also existed in Pakistan and Afghanistan. So these are the prominent sites in Pakistan: Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Kot Diji, Chanu-daro, and Sukta Gendor. So if you talk about all 1400 sites, so these are the prominent ones that one is expected to be aware of. At least you should be aware of that. If somebody says that Alamgirpur, you must recall, okay, that this Alamgirpur was once upon a time part of Indus Valley civilization, and Alamgirpur is located in present day Uttar Pradesh. At least this much one must be aware of. Now Afghanistan, so the prominent site in Afghanistan that an Indian student, for example, see, if you talk to a Pakistani or to a Afghanistani, they will give more importance to the sites found in their country. So to be honest, as an Indian, you need not focus too much on the sites found in Afghanistan, but out of all the sites, this one you must remember, because this has been asked that Sortugai. In fact, there was a question that which of these Indus Valley site is not found in Pakistan. So Sortugai was one of the options. So now let's move further. What were the features of the civilization? So when we say that Indus Valley civilization was the one of the most prominent civilization, it was one of the most well established, most flourishing civilization. That means if we call it a civilization, then it must have its unique traits. It must have some standard which it must have set to differentiate from the people living in other zones of the world. Because it's not that people all of a sudden dropped into Indus Valley. People existed, humans existed. Then why the term civilization? Civilization means human settled at a place. They chose a place to settle. They were no more hunters and gatherers. They decided, okay, now enough is enough. Let's settle. Let's have family. Let's have a proper lifestyle. Let's have a well-defined lifestyle. So there was a certain set of standard of living which was followed by throughout the region. People who lived in this civilization or who were the part of this civilization, they followed certain standard of living. So now what was the features of the civilization? Town planning. So what is meant by town planning? That means houses were not built randomly or as per individual choices. Planning was done well ahead, and planning was done by a central authority. So whatever towns and cities were built by the people, they were planned on paper and then built. Then the other prominent feature of the civilization is its elaborate drainage system. That means an elaborate drainage system has been found in almost all the major sites of the civilization. You can imagine, today we talk about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, and today much importance is given to health and hygiene. But think of our ancestors living almost 3,500 to 4,000 years ago. They were more concerned about drainage, safety, cleanliness. So as compared to other world civilizations. So Indus Valley people were very concerned about safety, cleanliness, and that's why elaborate drainage system was part of their town planning. Now the other prominent feature that separates this civilization from the other ones is use of seals. So what are seal? Seals are basically, see, today we use coins or tokens. So you can say that during those times seals were used like identification marks. People used to carry seals. They used to exchange seals instead of money. Or sometimes seals also used to give you the identity. For example, if I am carrying a particular seal and I show it to somebody, then the other person would have recognized, okay, this person is coming from Indus Valley civilization. So seals, use of large scale seals have been established. The other feature of this civilization, so all these features will tell you that why it is a civilization, why it is not a jungly culture, why it is a civilization, because you can see people are planning, people are doing proper planning. So there is a central authority. Everybody is following the established norm, established set of rules. So the other feature was use of standard weights and measurement throughout the civilization. That means people throughout the civilization used the same standard set of measurement. For example, we Indians, suppose I go to a shop in Delhi and I buy 1 kg rice, and you go to a shop in Chennai, then you can also use the same weight kg. So that is what is meant by using standard weight. So 1 kg of Delhi is the same as 1 kg of Chennai, because somebody have decided that what is actually meant by 1 kg, what will exactly be meant by 1 kg. So it was decided. So during those times as well, that means the people of Indus Valley as well used to practice standard weights and measurement throughout the civilization. So these are the characteristics. The other characteristic is well developed metallurgy and pottery skills. That means our ancestors or the people living in Indus Valley civilization, they had good command over metallurgy and pottery. So imagine that all of a sudden, humans who were hunting, gathering, one day eating here, the other day going to, 100 kilometers away in some other region, they decided to settle. So if you settle at one place, you indulge in agriculture, then you need tools. You will have to make tools so that you can cultivate, you can cut grass, you can cut your agriculture produce, and you will also need, you know pots, pottery. You will also need pottery skills, because what will you do after you produce grains? What will you do after you produce wheat and rice? You need to store it. So if you are practicing agriculture, it is but natural that you have to be good in metallurgy and pottery skills. They also excelled in arts and crafts. So people of that time period, they produced some really good quality art and crafts. So it was not that they just did some novice or childlike art and craft, but in good terms, in real sense, they indulged in the practice of art and craft. Now the other important feature of the civilization is it had a well established religious practices and burial system. So these are some of the prominent features of the civilization. So we will see each of these features in detail. So now let's proceed. Now, development of trade and commerce with other civilizations. So it is, as I already told you, that other civilizations existed as well. Egyptian, Mesopotamian and Indus, they were in contact with each other. So development of trade and commerce is known to have taken place. Now let's see the details of each features. So town planning. So as I already told you, what is meant by town planning? Before building any city or any village, planning was done on paper. Proper planning was done. There were rules that houses have to build in this particular way, streets have to be built, drainage system have to be built. So proper town planning was done. So what was the main feature of town planning? That large cities were divided into two parts. So one part was known as citadel. Citadel was a mound built on high podium of mud bricks. So if you look here, so this is the city of Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro, located in today's Pakistan. So this portion you can see is built at a higher podium, and these are the houses of common public. So common public lived, below the citadel. You can say that citadel was something built on a podium, on a high podium. So the city was divided into, most of the large cities were divided into two parts. So the higher or the elevated portion was the citadel, which was basically built on some mound, and it was built using mud bricks, whereas the town was to the east. So there was a general rule that town was built to the east side, this side of the citadel, and town was where the main residential area means. That means the general public or the common public, they did not reside in citadel. This citadel was meant only for high ranking priests, because we have no concrete evidence to suggest that there were kings, but we have evidence to suggest that there were priests. Okay, there were priests who conducted religious practices. So archaeologists believe that this citadel was basically the residence or the official places of the high and mighty. The high and mighty of the society used to live in this citadel, whereas the common people or the common public used to live in the second part of the city, which was the common residential area. And both these parts were separated with massive brick walls. You can see there is a wall. This wall was built to separate the citadel from the second part of the city. Now, this arrangement of dividing the city into two parts has been found at most of the large cities. So, for example, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and Kalibangan. So, same arrangement. That means citadel is built, and the city is built. Citadel is built. It is surrounded by a wall, and then city is built at a lower level. So this arrangement has been found in Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and Kalibangan. Now, citadel was normally smaller than the lower city and lay to its west side. That means citadel was to the west and city was to the east. So this was the arrangement of citadel and city in this orientation. This is to be noted that generally speaking, if somebody in Indus Valley wanted to build a city or a new town, they did what? They chose an area, they covered it with brick, and then they built a citadel. That this way it got divided into two portions. First portion citadel and the remaining portion the second part. But in case of Dholavira has been found to be divided into three parts. So please remember three parts. There is a citadel here, there is a town here where people live, and then there is a third part. So this third part in Dholavira, it contained other important buildings. So it mostly contained reservoirs and other places of common public use. So Dholavira, archaeologists have noticed that instead of usual two divisions, three divisions were made. The houses were constructed in pattern of grid iron or chess. So what is meant by this? So houses were built. So houses were built in this manner. So this is the street. So these are the streets are crossing. So house will be built here. House 1, house 2, house 3, house 4, house 5. So it will look like that, you are building houses in shape of a chess. Chess have like black and white houses. So similar was the case here. So this was the concept of town planning. Now street planning was also done elaborately. The streets were straight and cut each other at right angle. So as you can see, this is a street. This portion you see, this is the street. So streets used to cut each other at 90-degree angles. Main streets varied, in width from 9 feet to 30 to 34 feet. So you need not remember all this data, but I am just giving this to you. So this is a one-time read. You need not remember all these facts, but at least this will help you have a complete sense of the civilization or how great the civilization was. So main streets were quite wide. The streets and the road divided the city into rectangular block, as I already explained to you, in chess kind of pattern. And one more interesting thing that I must tell you is that archaeologists have discovered the lamp posts at regular interval. Now imagine those days, lamp post. So that's why it is a civilization. It is not a jungly culture. That's why they are known as civilized people. Civilization. So lamp posts were also found. So this suggests the existence of street light. So if you are putting lamp post, so it will be obviously for the purpose of putting street lights. Public dustbins were also provided on the streets. So you can say Swachh Indus Abhiyan was going on. As we participate in Swachh Bharat Abhiyan today. In those days, people were well aware of cleanliness. So public dustbins were also provided. Now drainage system. So one of the most remarkable feature of Indus Valley civilization is that the city was provided with an excellent closed drainage system. So people were concerned with safety. They had dustbins. They had neat and clean roads. So they also have elaborate drainage system so that the waste from their house, the everyday waste generated from their house, is carried away in a centralized position and disposed. So each house had its own drainage. So waste was collected from house, I mean not collected, but waste was flown via a drain. With the help of a drain, it was flown to the distant areas and the waste was disposed. So each house had its own drainage and soak pit which was connected to the public drainage. That means if you have some waste in your house, you drop that in the soak pit, and the pit water was flowing through the pit. So that water used to carry the waste material that you have just thrown, and that water used to carry the waste of all the houses, and they used to collect it and then drain it in the Indus River. So that was the system of drainage. So brick laid drains flowed through each street. So you can see this has been discovered in Mohenjo-daro. See how neat and cleanly this drainage was covered. There was not a case of open drainage. So drain was covered with brick. So they were covered and had manholes at regular interval. As you can see here, there is a manhole. Manhole means an opening here. So why there was an opening? Because you see, if waste is flowing, then waste may get stuck. So there were main holes to actually clean, to provide for the cleanliness and maintenance of these drainage. So you can see that how smart our ancestors were. And now comes a shocker. You will not believe, but a seat latrine has been found at Mohenjo-daro. That means almost a modern day toilet. So this has been found at Mohenjo-daro. This is a very important question. This has been asked many times, that where, at which site a seat latrine has been found. So as you can see, people used to, as today we use commode, flush toilets and all that stuff. So almost 4,000 years ago in Mohenjo-daro, people were using this seated latrines. So this was all about the town planning, street and drainage system. Now let's move to the other characteristics of the civilization. So the other prominent characteristics of the civilization is the use of seals. So thousands of seals have been found throughout the region. As you can see in this picture, different kinds of seals. So the seals were usually made of steelite. So steelite is kind of a soft stone. So very similar to chalk, but not as soft as chalk, but belonging to the same family. So most of the seals were made of steelite. So please remember. So these seals were not made of clay. They were made of steelite, which is a kind of soft stone. Some seals were also made of ivory and gold. So what is ivory? Ivory is elephant's teeth. So some seals made of ivory and gold have also been discovered. Seals were mainly used for commercial purpose and were used in trading. For example, if people from Indus Valley used to visit Mesopotamia, then they used to carry seal with them, because seal was like an identity card. Seal was like a permission to enter. Seal was like a permission to trade. So that's why seals were mainly used for commercial purpose and were used in trading. So standard Harappan seal was 2 into 2 square inches. Not important, need not remember. Seals were decorated with beautiful figures of animals such as unicorn bull. So as you can see in these pictures, many seals you will see contain animals. So unicorn bull, that means one horn. Bull, rhinoceros, tiger, elephant, bison, goat, buffalo, etc. That means many animals are depicted on the seals. So you must remember this, that unicorn is the most commonly depicted animal on the seal. So unicorn. So here is Mr. Unicorn. Unicorn, that means having one horn. So uni means one, corn means horn. So unicorn is the most commonly depicted animal on the seals. And you must note this, it is very noteworthy because this has been asked many a times, that no seal has ever been found which depict cow or camel or horse or lion. Tiger has been depicted, but lion has not been depicted. Though lions are found in Gujarat and Indus Valley civilization occurred in Gujarat, but mention of lion is not to be found. Mention of cow is not to be found on seals. It is not concluded that these animals were not known to them, but at least these animals have not featured on any of the seals. So we are talking about seals here. So seals made in Harappa have been found from Mesopotamia. So as it is already told that seals were basically used for trading. So they were used for trading. That means people used to visit from one civilization to other. They used to carry seal with them as a mark of identity, as a gift, as a trading, as you can say barter system, or sometimes seals were also used as a replacement of money. So one of prominent seal that you must be aware of or you must know of is seals of Pasupati Mahadev. So this seal was found in Mohenjo-daro, the city of Mohenjo-daro. This seal depicts a human figure seated across cross-legged. So this is Lord Shiva, the earliest known form of Lord Shiva, Pasupati Mahadev. So the question asked will be, where was this seal found? So you must remember it was found in Mohenjo-daro. So what does this seal depicts? It depicts a person, a god-looking person, god-like looking person sitting in crossed leg posture. So it is a broken seal. Complete seal has not been discovered. Broken seal has been discovered. So an elephant and a tiger are depicted. So you must remember the animals depicted on this seal. So elephant is depicted, tiger is depicted, rhinoceros is depicted, and buffalo are depicted. So you can see animals 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 animals are depicted. Some are depicted at the bottom also. Deer is also depicted, as you can see here. Since it is a broken seal, so we are able to witness only one antelope. So there was a pair. So second one is not visible. The figure has 3 horned head. So 1, 2, 3, 3 horns in his head. So the important question that might be asked is, where was this seal found? The answer will be Mohenjo-daro. Which animals are depicted? Then elephant, tiger, rhinoceros, buffalo, and deer. Cow is not depicted. Cow not depicted on any of the seals. Camel not on any of the seals. Lion not on any of the seals. So you must, horses not on any of the seals. Now what about the written scripts? So Harappan script is regarded as pictographic since it sign represent bird, fish, variety, and human forms. So as you can see, this is script. This is handwriting. This is not, but it is in the form of pictures, trying to depict pictures or diagrams. So it was pictographic, and it has not been yet deciphered. So fish symbol is the most commonly represented symbol in pictograph. Fish. Most of the pictograph appear on seals. Now this is interesting that a signboard inscription bearing 10 pictographs have been found from Dholavira in Gujarat. So this is said to be the first signboard of the world. So you can see this was found in Dholavira. So this is signboard. That means in earlier time when people used to visit Dholavira, so this acted as the entry gate of the, so this was wall and then this was gate, and on top of that gate this signboard was erected, and it some message might have been displayed that welcome to Dholavira. Okay, some kind of. So this is the world's earliest signboard and it has been found in Dholavira, Gujarat. So a point that you must remember. So these are some of the features that we have seen so far. So the remaining features we will see in next videos.